Today's daf is daf mem zayin. We are going to begin with zayin aleph v'amar Rava. Rava says, when we assess the damage inflicted by a goring ox on a cow, whose newborn calf is found dead on its side, we do not appraise the damage of the cow by itself and the damage of the child by itself. The Beis Din appraises the offspring together with the cow and evaluates the overall damage inflicted on the pregnant cow, which will be slightly less than it would be with two separate evaluations. If you do not say this nimsa atamakish es hamazik, you will find to have ultimately weakened the one chaya for damage by inflicting a loss at him, as the market value of the newborn calf is greater than the difference in market value between a pregnant cow and the one that's not pregnant. You find this principle in a case where some sever the hand of another slave. The difference in value between a slave with a hand and a slave without a hand is assessed, rather than determining how much money the owner would request in exchange for allowing the hand of the slave to be cut off. And you find the same principle in a case of one who causes damage to part of another's field. The Beis Din appraises not the garden bed that was eaten or trampled, but the depreciation and value of the bed as part of the surrounding area. This results in a smaller payment, as the damage appears less significant in the context of a large area. Rashi says, but if this halacha of assessing the damage, then let the one chayav for damage be weakened by losing money. So Rashi asks him, because one liable for damage can say to him, Para ma'barta azaktich, I caused damage to you through injuring a pregnant cow. Para ma'barta sheminu lach, I'm assessing the value of a pregnant cow for you. Therefore, it's not correct to evaluate separately the damage of the cow, the damage of the offspring. Pshita, so the word says obvious. Part of the chad v'levad the chad. In case where the cow belonged to one person, and the offspring belonged to another person. Pete, what about para? So that the compensation of the cow is paid to the owner of the cow. So the question is, Nibchamai, what's the halacha of the cow's bulk? There's an increase in the value of a pregnant cow, which is attributed to its improved appearance, which results from the carrying the fetus. Who is considered the injured party with regard to that sum? The Bava Kamah, the Baal Para, says the owner of the cow, and Rabbi Chelkin says that they divide the restitution. Vilcha says Chelkin, they divide the restitution. So they had a potter who brought pots into a balabais' courtyard without permission. And what happened was, the owner's animal broke the pots. So halach is potter, the balabais is potter. If the owner's animal is injured by the pots, the owner of the pots is chayav. But if the potter brought them inside with permission, the owner of the courtyard is chayav. If his animal caused damage to the pots, so he brought fruit into the homeowner's courtyard without permission, and the homeowner's animal ate them, so potter, the homeowner is potter. If the animal was injured by them, for example, if it slipped on them, the owner of the Paris is chayav, because he brought it without reshus. But if he brought the produce inside with permission, the owner of the courtyard is chayav for the damage caused with the animal to them. If one brought his ox to the homeowner's courtyard without permission, so the homeowner's ox scored, so let's say the homeowner's dog bit it. So the halach is potter, the homeowner is potter. If it gored the homeowner's ox, so then chayiv, the owner of the goring ox, is chayiv. If the ox that he brought into the chutzner without permission fell into the owner's pit, and the hivish mesev contaminated the water, so Allah is chayiv, the owner of the ox is chayiv to pay the compensation for the spoiling the water. If the homeowner's father or son were inside the pit at the time the ox fell, and the person died as the result, the owner of the ox has to pay kefir. If he brought the ox into the chutzner with reshus, the owner of the courtyard is chayiv for the damage. Rabbi Eimer Yudanasi says, the owner is not chayav in any of the cases of the Mishnah, even if he gave permission for the items to be brought into the premises, unless he explicitly accepts responsibility upon him to guard it. So the Gemara says, The reason why the potter is chayiv that he brought his pots into the courtyard without permission. But if he brought them with permission, the potter will not be chayiv for damage caused to the courtyard's owner's animal. And we do not say that the potter accepted responsibility for the safeguarding of the courtyard's owner's animal for his own pots. Mani, who was like this? This is Rabbi. The Omar, he says, called bistama, any case where permission is granted to allow a person into one's premise without specification. In other words, he didn't give explicit agreement as to who is responsible for guarding the item. It's assumed that with regard to each party, he has not accepted upon himself the responsibility of safeguarding the item. Therefore, the potter received permission to bring his pots into the owner's courtyard, similarly did not accept responsibility to safeguard against damage to the property of the owner of the courtyard. Ema Seifa. So let's look at the later clause. If the potter brought them into the courtyard with Rishos, the owner of the courtyard is chayiv. In this case, we arrived at the opinion of the Chachamim, who disagree with Rabbi Yehuda. The Amri B'Staminami Kabbalah, who he says, even in the case where permission is granted to allow an item into one's premise without specification, where the owner merely said he could bring them into the courtyard, the homeowner accepts upon himself responsibility for safeguarding the item to ensure that they are not damaged as well. For the word Rabbi says, with all of them, he's not chayiv until the homeowner explicitly accepts responsibility upon himself to safeguard them. Does that make sense that the first clause and the last clause of the Mishnah is in accordance to the Rabbi, and in the middle clause it's the Rabbanan? Or Rav Zeda, so it says Tavra, if they break it, this joint them. The one who taught the first case did not teach the other case. Rabbi says no. Kula Rabbanan he, the entire Mishnah is the Chachamim. In regards to the homeowner, his courtyard accepted responsibility upon himself. Shmidas K'dedes Kibala Balachotzer. He took upon himself the safeguarding of the pots, even to the extent, even if it broke due to the ruach, the whole owner of the pots, by contrast, did not accept any responsibility to ensure that the items would not cause damage. If he brought his produce into the homeowner's courtyard without permission, and the owner's animal was injured by the produce, he is chayiv. Rav says, he taught this halacha only in a case where the animal slipped on it and fell. But if it ate the produce though and was injured, potter, he is potter. My time, what's the reason? He should have not eaten it, and it was not the owner of the fruit who acted improperly, but the animal itself. So Shesha says, Amina, I say, that the Rav said this halacha while he was dozing and lying down. It's not entirely precise. Person who places poison before another animal is potter. From here we can learn that it's specifically where he put poison before an animal that he is potter, since it's not suitable to eating. But in regards to produce, which is suitable for eating, the animal dies from eating. So the question is why? Also, here also use Rav's logic that the animal should not have eaten it. Therefore, the Brisa poses a shala on Rav. So Amri, they say, who adin afilu peris. Same is true even for peris. Nami pater mideni adam. He's exempt according to human laws. That teaches us that even in the case of poison, where it's not suitable for eating, a person who places poison before the animal is chayiv according to the Nishamayim. By Simar, I could tell you that instead the case is where the Brisa exempts the liability according to the human laws. One who places some of us nami, farsta, such as a farsta, afrasta, which is a type of herb that appears edible for animals but is actually poisonous, the hainu peri, which is also peris. Basically, that's the shala. In case of a woman who entered the house of a homeowner without permission in order to grind the wheat, and the homeowner's animal ate the wheat, he is potter. Now, if the homeowner's animal was injured by the wheat, so he's chayiv. The question is, let us say that here is that the animal should not have eaten. So, Amri, say, what's the difficulty? Is the Brisa preferable to the Mishnah? That we interpret a scenario, the Okimna Shohul Wahen, where the animal slipped on the produce, Bryce is also referring to a case when animals injured by slipping on the wheat, not by eating it. Oh, the Kolel, my Kolel, and the one who asked the shadow, what did he ask? It says, it's obvious. Amallah, Bishta must have said, and the Mishnah said, Mhusko Bahen. Mishnah said, in the case, if he was injured, it's referring to where the animal slipped on them. But here in the Brisa, Mhusko, it says, if it injured, it did not teach Bahen. Achilosa, Huduktani. It's reasonable to say that when the Bryce teaches the case of animal being injured, the injury is due to eating. There's no difference. The person brought an ox to the homeowner's courtyard without permission. Mason ox died wheat. The ox ate wheat belonging to the balabais and was stricken with diarrhea and he died. Potter is potter. But if the ox went to the courtyard with permission, the question is about my the ox should have not eaten it. It evoked the injury on itself. So you're asking this question, but Rishus, in the case of permission, he's accepting the safeguarding against the damage. Even if it strangled itself, he'd be chayiv. They asked the question, the homeowner of the court accepted upon himself responsibility for safeguarding the item entering his premise. Mao, what's the halacha? Did he accept it upon himself only the responsibility of safeguarding himself and his animals from causing damage? Or perhaps even he accepted responsibility upon himself for safeguarding against all forms of damage that originate from the outside. Tashma, coming here, he learned Phone brought his produce to the homeowner's courtyard without permission. The ox came from elsewhere and ate it. He is potter. But if one brought the produce into the reshus chayiv, man the potter, man chayiv. Who is exempt and who is chayiv? La potter bal chotzer v'chayiv bal chotzer. The chayiv does not mean the owner of the courtyard is exempt and the owner of the courtyard is liable. This is mashma that by granting permission for the produce to be brought in, he accepts responsibility for safeguarding against other damage as well, such as the case caused by another ox entering from the outside. So Ambidi said, no, it means that the owner of the ox that causes damage is potter, and the owner of the ox is chayiv. If it's referring to the owner of the ox, then my bershus and my shalei bershus. What does it mean with permission and without permission? With regard to damage done by the ox of a stranger, should not make any difference. So Ambidi said bershus, with permission, heavily shem bershus anizik. It's a case of damage under the category of eating. The shem bershus anizik chayavas, and then the domain is chayash. Shem bershus adam of Torah.